What are you
Yeah,
gonna do
like
about it? Well, hold on.
we
So
get
welcome to the latest episode of The Altar. Ben is sick, or he beat his girlfriend and had to take her to the hospital. One of the two. It's a toss up. So it's just me, Matt tonight, along with Max. Yimra was probably out doing twink/otter things. Tonight's gonna be a little short episode, probably about 30 minutes, 30, 45 minutes, some, because there's only one thing to really talk about, and it's only us two. So yeah. So anyways, Max, you're saying something before I cut you off to do the intro. You already
oh
blanked
yeah,
out,
we get accused of being libertarians on Frank's podcast,
dude.
and it's
That
like,
not just on Frank's. There was Reed Reed Coverdale was on Timcast the same night, right?
oh,
And
was he?
s-
Okay.
and they and that's the Natural Capitalist. I haven't watched any of
Yep,
his
yeah.
shit. I don't know anything really about him other than he's like
He's okay. He's decently interesting. He's a trucker turned podcaster,
okay.
basically. Yeah, I think he's cool. I mean,
Yeah, maybe
if
we'll
have you
get on
seen
it.
that the hilarious video where the guy is he's like he's holding an M1 Grand and he's like, look at this completely safe hunting rifle. It's got a wood stock, no pistol grip. It's very safe. It's government approved. And then he bump fires it the whole clip. Um,
Fantastic.
and
No,
he's like, oh, Trump's banning bump stocks. You know, we should only have rifles like this, and then bump fires it. And anyways, yeah.
that's
So
incredible. I think I have seen
he's
that. It's been a
amazing for
while.
that.
I think.
Say what?
I think like I've seen that was videos a long time ago, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's from Trump when
Oh,
he did
okay.
the stock ban, which was like, I mean, what, 2018? It was like right after the Las Vegas shooting. Whenever
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
that was, it's all been memory hold at this point.
2017, I think.
Yeah.
My sense of time is still
Hmm.
good. Anarchists work on real time. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything's going on anymore. But anyways, so on Frank's show, we had a bunch of comments like, "Oh yeah, like the libertarian views, whatever." I'm like, we specifically said on the show we're not libertarians. I specifically said it. I'm like, I'm an anarchist. And then on Reed Coverdale's live stream talking about the Timcast episode he's on like the night prior, there was some dude that commented on that video. It was like, yeah, man, it's like it's great because like there was libertarians on the Quite Frankly podcast last night. The message is getting out there, and I responded to that dude. I'm like, don't you dare call me a libertarian. Didn't hear anything back. It's probably because I didn't tag him. Maybe he didn't see it. It's funny. It was like,
Is it a YouTube comment? Because it's like,
yeah, it's a
don't
YouTube
even.
comment, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
didn't like. I replied to it, but I didn't have. It didn't say like at his name in the reply, so maybe he
Mm,
doesn't get it. Kind of like, I don't know, but you should. It's your comment. I don't know. I'm a boomer
dude,
in a sense.
like the average IQ of YouTube is
Uh
just
oh,
very
screen
low.
black. Uh oh.
Espe-
Oh no.
Especially when it comes. I'm watching it live and it looks fine.
Uh, Max says it's fine.
I don't like I got it simulcast over here.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
I'm seeing the preview up says my excellent like connection is excellent.
Mm,
So screen
yeah,
black.
I'm on.
But hey
I'm
Shay,
looking
hey Shay in
through
the chat,
YouTube and it
let
looks
us know
good.
what's up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just hit the refresh button. Let me
yeah,
try
they're
that.
fresh. So
So
yeah,
yeah, it's just yeah, I try to not engage with YouTube comments. Unlike my popular videos, it's like Middle Eastern men like trying to solicit nudes, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on?
oh I like
Or people like making fun of my hands because I've made a comment about my hands relative to the size of a pistol, and it's just like it's for people who have small hands is the video. That's why I'm making a comment, like, or I'm showing them this video because I saw somebody do this. They don't they have basic like cognitive ability to engage with information in front of them. They just get hit with a trigger that then there's like this if then chain in their brain that like launches into a script basically based on whatever information that's coming in. They there's probably like 240 scripts.
it's
Makes them
NPC
seem
shit.
like a real person,
It's
but
NPC
yeah.
shit. Well, because that's the thing.
Mhm.
Like with like because there was a lot of like fun, like to be like funny comments like touching base back on last week with Frank's show,
Hmm.
a lot of funny comments because like in the chat, like person like I was like, oh, I like answering good questions. Like, oh yeah, but you can't answer the bad questions, can you? I'm like, well, because the bad questions usually pertain to like something the state is already fucking up, like really bad. It's like, well, like,
Hmm.
what would you do in anarchy about this? And then you give an answer like, okay, no, this is why we need a state. I'm like, even the same government that is currently fucking it up right now. And I'm gonna get, I mean, it's usually like I just
Yeah, I
being,
love the Michael Malice quote that every criticism of anarchy is just a description of the status quo.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's
every
is you know
every
that
fucking time, dude. It's like it's pathetic. And like, no, I get it. It's like I want these people to start taking these arguments and applying it to the government, right? Like that's what I would like them to do. But it's like, no, it's
Mhm.
different. Oh, and like the other argument they make, it's like, well, like yeah, anarcho-capitalism sounds good, like good or whatever, like in theory, but like reality is different because how people are. Like, because people are bad. And like, okay, you're making an argument again against the government because people are fucking bad. What do you think the people are in charge of doing right now? But it's not like,
I it's
just let me just
I think
finish
the
this one
mo
little bit. This is like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
not talking like that if I tell 5 people and they tell 5 people we're gonna have anarchy in 5 years, we're working toward it. We're not gonna see it in our lifetime, but they think we're talking about like 5 years from now or something or less. We could have it if we just get enough people to vote to vote properly for it. So that's it. That's about.
Well, yeah, I tried to iterate that like anarchism is like a constant, it's a relationship and it can exist at any time in any place between any two people. That's or in, more people, right? It's just like the number of people participating in anarchism at any given point is not sufficiently high to make the government crumble. That said, the government is doing just a great job of crumbling all on its own. They can't do the most basic tasks like maintain roads or win wars or educate people to a basic level that like they even are worth something in the market so that they're good tax um rent, revenue generators and stuff like that. Like every piece of the system has been so broken down for so long that like it's just like we, we don't need to push it that much. We're just hoping that we don't get like a fascist dictator in between here and the other side, a more um dare I say like classically liberal or something like that side. I don't know where we're going
If
long
I
term.
I cannot wait for the next election, so I have to hear some fucking libertarian say, "Well, I'm fiscally conservative but socially liberal or whatever." I'm like, I'm gonna gun you down in the forest. It's gonna be like the fucking hunt or something, whatever the movie was.
When was the last time there was any such thing as fiscal conservatism?
No, like I don't fucking know. These
Yeah,
libertarians like
it's like
fiscally
a
conservative. It's a stupid
we
fucking
definitely get the
slogan.
socially liberal part. But like I mean like oh we they say they want to combine the best parts of both parties. It's like there has been no fiscally restrained part of any part of the government in anyone's the last 30 years. Basically, the average millennial has not been alive during or not been a sentient person during any period of time in which the government didn't run a deficit and didn't expand the budget.
Hey, I was alive when Bill Clinton balanced the budget. Okay, so
I was too, but I was not very sentient about it.
I was stupid. Like, how old was I? It was 96, maybe.
Yeah, it's after Newt got in, so it was,
So
yeah, it was like
I was like 8, and I remember the Nick Jr. Captain Propaganda. They had like Nick Jr. News or something for kids. They're talking about like presidents, and they're talking about Bill Clinton. And I told my parents, I was like, you should vote for that person because they were on the TV on my favorite station. And my dad just looked at me like he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Then years later, I found out like yeah, like when I started understanding politics and stuff, or like started talking about it, like he's a Republican. I'm like, he wouldn't even listen to his own kid to change his mind. What a cold-blooded Republican. Love this guy. Love him.
but like honestly, that's how most people vote. Like it's
Hmm.
just like, oh, isn't JFK and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, aren't they the nicest people ever? You should vote Democrat. Is like not so subtle part of every civics and history class in high school. And they'll be like, Ronald Reagan stood up against communism, so people kind of like that. He was popular because he was an actor. Like they can't even fake saying like good things about Republican presidents. Not that there really are. Like I could find a bunch of good things to say about Nixon. Like, oh, he ended the draft, not legally, but de facto. Um, he opened trade relations with China. Those are good
Well,
things, right? Like,
I was gonna say like they give Republican presidents their their due afterwards, talking shit during, and then afterwards like he wasn't so bad like Bush now. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, Bush is such a great president when he started like bashing Trump or whatever. I'm like, come on, really? Can you be principled for a few seconds? But anyways, oh,
oh, based on
okay,
whoever we're gonna get, I'm gonna love the breakdown in the next what is year next year. Yeah, we could get a new presidential election, and it we're gonna have a huge mental breakdown between um whoever actually gets the Republican nomination on the Democrat side because they've exhausted all of their effort in saying Trump's literally Hitler, and so it's like we're gonna get somebody who's not Trump, I assume, and
yeah,
it'll be hilarious to watch them try to say, "Oh, this guy's also literally Hitler."
yeah, but one's less Hitlery than the other.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm,
it's just that comic book
has anyone announced
perception of.
when do they usually announce that they're running for president?
They have started. Nikki Haley announced,
Oh,
and
did
Trump
she?
has announced.
And Trump is announced. Okay,
Um,
I missed this. I've been very busy guy over here doing shit.
oh no, you got your spawn.
Well, dude, yeah, it's like I got trying to help my wife as much as possible. I got to get the spawn, and I'm doing school stuff. I've been remodeling this room on the other side of the wall right over there. I get to hang drywall by myself. Very excited about that. Got the lightweight, ready
Oh,
to
I
go.
hate hanging drywall, man.
Dude, butt boards, bro. Butt boards, telling you. The
Okay.
butt, so it takes those butt joints and sucks them in. Like
Okay.
instead of ending the long part of the sheet on a stud to screw into,
Mm-hmm.
you hang it over to it's halfway through the like both sheets are halfway between the joists, right? And then you have this
Okay.
a piece of plywood maybe like 9 inches wide, and you do
Mm-hmm.
card like an inch and quarter cardboard strips or drywall shims you can buy, make it easy. Staple it on each side of that OSB plywood, and then you line it up with the two butt joints. Let me do like this, and then it'll pull it in like up to where it is, so you can put the tape and like the mud tape on, and it'll create a nice flat seam.
Mm.
It's very
Okay.
tight. It's very awesome because there's no way to be fucking doing this if I didn't know about it. But anyways,
Yeah. Okay. So Trump's announced Nikki Haley's announced. She was the former like governor of South Carolina or something like that, right?
I think
And
so.
then she was like UN ambassador, some stupid fed job like
Oh,
that.
no
Uh,
shade did a good solid comment in the chat. He's like, I think it's the fear of not having that safety net that the government is not like that is government not realizing there is more danger keeping the government, right? Because yeah, that's how a lot of people vote. Because it's like everyone on the left is like, well, the Republicans are going to take away fucking Social Security or whatever because they need that safety net. It's like, well, we can't do that. But then people on the
and
right,
the Republicans are like, oh, we can't lose we have to have the government because of our social security or because of social security. Like that's how the
I
average
know.
Republican
Oh no, it's the other thing
thinks.
is too is like these, but all the other like additional welfare programs, what like the Democrats are trying to implement. They're like, well, I don't want more of my money
Yeah.
getting taken, so it's like the safety net is like, let me keep my money, but I'll still pay for the other social programs. Nothing new until 10 years from now. It's like, okay, I'll pay for that, but nothing more. Here's the line. Then I'm gonna cross the line again. All right, now seriously, this time, here's the line. This time, guys, it's ridiculous. So we can talk about this derailment. I think we can get into that. The train
Oh, sure.
derailment.
I can actually, could we go through a quick list of presidential potential
Oh yeah,
people
sorry, dude.
and just do like a quick you know, what we think their chances are.
Okay,
So
let's
I
go.
think Donald Trump is not, he's going to have like a solid base, but he's not going to have enough to carry it at this point. I think a lot of people are going to go to Ron DeSantis from Trump.
Did Ron
Um,
announce?
Ron has not
Okay,
announced. Um, Mike Pence, and he is like January 6th kind of guy. He thinks it was an insurrection.
okay,
Tim Scott, South Carolina senator. He's the one black senator.
okay.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know who that is.
Ted Cruz is probably gonna do it again.
The Zodiac
Yeah,
Killer thinks he has a chance. He's at the bottom of
yeah,
my
right.
list.
Um, Glenn Youngkin, he's from Virginia.
Oh,
Okay.
Youngkin? He announced?
He's popular enough that he might, is what they're saying.
He just got in. That's the next
I,
state over. Like I've been keeping up with it because I remember some dude was bitching on
East Virginia.
Facebook.
Hmm.
Like he was
Um,
pissed about it. Yeah, but keep going. Who actually is announced? I don't need this maybe shit.
oh, okay. I'm looking for who else might
Maybe we
have
should
announced.
dedicate an episode later of when everyone's announced.
Ooh,
It's
Liz
all
Cheney. Liz Cheney
really
has not announced, but she's made every single move that she would. And she's like doing this like log cabin Republicans and other stupid shit. And like, oh, I'm the party of principle. And
she's below Ted Cruz because she's a woman. So we can put it out there.
yeah, she's a complete sack of shit, is what she is.
Oh
But
yeah,
anyways,
who isn't?
yeah, we can. So let's get back to derailments then.
All
That'll
right,
be
yeah.
good.
So no, what's funny is like I've gotten everything. I haven't like looked at the derailment thing until like today briefly because I didn't even know it happened. Right, that's how disconnected I am from everything right now. So just give my point of view till we hop into the main course of this. So
Mm.
I know the train derailment happened. It was like, and like at first I thought it was like a toxic thing, like immediately went into the air, right? And then I found out I was like, oh no, it was like the thing was gonna it had a potential to fucking explode and send shrapnel like a mile in every direction or something. And like so they had to do controlled burn. And then I saw the video. I think Frank put on his show where the guy was bitching, like fucking for a good reason, that there was like the clouds and shit. They weren't clouds. It was the fucking black smoke from that burn
Mhm.
in the fucking area, like way away from East Palestine. Is it Palestine or Palestine? I'm gonna call it Palestine just for fun. Have Cybersmith call in, like,
Well, why
oh,
would
hold
it
on.
be Palestine?
What? Oh,
Who
that's what.
says that?
Fucking everyone. Like, I heard Palestine on the fucking news. Like, I watched a video on it, and the news anchor called it Palestine from there. Yeah,
Mhm.
dude, don't ask
Like,
me.
like, um, I mean, I guess the Demonin would be like Palestinian.
I have no
Um,
idea.
okay.
But anyways, continue. We'll put a pin in it. We'll come back. Go back to the pronunciation because that's why I heard it. I'm not like doing my stupid usual thing where I read something I haven't read before and make up whatever. So we had all that shit, and then I made the joke to myself before reading an article. And I'm like, without government, who would fucking pollute the skies? And then I'm like, before I make the joke, I need to look it up. And then sure as shit, it was like it was sanctioned by local governments to do this fucking burn because the alternative, it's the lesser evil or some shit. And now there's big fucking smoke clouds still in the air, I believe, as of today.
Yeah.
Still just it's moving downstream. And there's a potential or confirmed water contamination over there. So Flint, Michigan has got some competition.
Now the particulates are coming over the West Virginia area mostly because it happened right above the little penis of West Virginia
Uh,
that's to the west of Pennsylvania. Um, So that is it in your watershed
No,
at the moment?
I'm way far away from that
Okay.
because I'm southern West Virginia,
Okay. Yeah, sure, sure.
so I'm good.
Well, I mean, you're in the Ohio River Valley, right? So this is your watershed basically, right? So
Maybe I don't know things about my area. Can
no.
keep to
Okay.
myself, you know.
Well, you East Coasters have such abundant water, you like don't care about like what is the local river or something like that.
Yeah, dude, I
Whereas
got,
like
dude, I got
if
Florida in my water. I'm fine.
yeah, protects your teeth, protects your lungs, your genitals. It's great for you. It
What's
just
was
coats it all.
that's what I'm laughing about because it's like everyone brings up fluoride, right? Like it was like when I'm at the pediatrician, it's like, oh, you got town water, right? I was like, yeah, oh, so you got fluoride in it, so like we don't have to worry about your kids like if they're drinking water and stuff. I was like, yeah, I give my kids distilled water, fluoride free, if they're gonna drink
Hmm.
anything like that. Like, so like I don't trust like a lot of shit. So like they get distilled water. I'm like, they're not getting the fluoride from the water. It's like I was laughing at that shit. It's like you guys got fluoride. You live in town, right? You got fluoride in your water. Reminds me of that town water guy that was secretly taking the fluoride out of the water supply for years before he got like found out.
Yeah, like and some local dentist was just like, "There's too many cavities in these kids,"
No,
and it's like,
dude,
wasn't it?
wasn't I think it was something like that. I think there was some mom whose kid was getting like like a lot of cavities and shit. And like, what the fuck's going on? And if and they're like, we're drinking the
They
water, it's
didn't
got
brush their
fluoride in it.
teeth.
Yeah, well, the kid was eating like a fucking shitload of candy that the mom kept giving that like the child. It's like, yeah, no shit, your kid's teeth are fucking cavity ridden, fucking rotting because you keep giving them candy and not brushing their fucking teeth. Like if you simply brush their fucking teeth, that would solve the problem easily. But you're too
I
fucking
I
lazy to do
I
that.
drank filtered water my entire life. Like my parents never always filtered our water and stuff like that. So no fluoride, no chlorine, what no treatment chemicals or what anything like that.
That's why you're so handsome.
And I thank you. I never got cavities. I've never had a cavity because I just brushed my fucking teeth. I just had a bowl of ice cream, okay, and I'll just brush my teeth. I'll be fine.
The only cavities I got two cavities in my life. It was one on each of my top back teeth, my molars or whatever, like way in the
Mm,
back,
okay.
and that was because of improper brushing. Because
Yeah.
all my other teeth, because the dentist was like, dude, your teeth look fucking like great. He's like, but right back here, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, probably because how high it is, how tight. Probably you just weren't getting up there with it,
Mm,
like up in the
yeah.
back.
It's
They were
just
literally mirror image like cavities, like right there, and everything. He's like, everything else is like fucking looks great, like fantastic. He's like, just those two, like one on each side, fucked up. So I got fillings up in there.
yeah. I do. You got to find like the actual trustworthy dentists too. Like you want to take care of your teeth, you got to brush them, you got to do your shit. But then it's like I switched dentists in college, and the guy was like, "Oh, your teeth are horrible." I'm like, "You're full of shit." Like you just want to. He like wanted to do a procedure after procedure. He's just trying to make money, and I was just like, "Fuck you! I'm not doing that shit." Um,
My teeth are crooked as fuck, and the bottom ones are. And my dentist doesn't say shit about it. He doesn't care. He's like, whatever. You want like I
yeah.
think
Oh,
I brought up getting braces at some point. Really getting in there.
I got
Not too bad.
I got one crooked one. I
Thanks for
did
that.
have braces, but whatever.
You should have wore your retainer, bro. So
I
yes.
should have worn my retainer.
So what would the ANCAP response be to this train derailment thing? Just have fun with it.
Okay, I imagine so first thing that would have to happen is that there's a railroad that owns a rail line, and they're operating it and they're carrying dangerous material, and that they are going to have easements to pass by properties and by um, water and other features that are owned by people, unlike the rivers, which are owned by the government right now. And so, or our water supply, the air is owned by the government. So, and the average person would carry health and property and life, and you could even your homeowner's insurance and stuff could guarantee, like out in the West we have like wildfire insurance, is a common thing
Yeah,
to add on to your
yeah.
homeowner's insurance and stuff like that. Um, and so you could ensure that there is you could insure for a certain quality of water, or your town, your HOA, your community guild who owns the water would have insurance for that. If it got polluted, for any reason, they would bring a suit and they'd have a big pile of money to litigate it against the other people. The train would have to have insurance to safely carry all this, or they would never be able to afford um, to not have insurance for this thing, and their insurance would never insure them if they didn't properly check for it. Because in real life, we're talking about billions of dollars worth of damages to all these people that would be enforced through different property courts and claims and insurance and everything like that. Heads would roll for how much money would need to be paid in a market system to make things right. And so, like, they the first thing I'd say is, like, in a free market system, this would never happen, because when we enforce our property rights, people are much more cautious to violate them, or
You
pollute
just
on
put
our
so
lands and
yeah,
stuff.
I agree with everything. Oh, and also in the free market system, the infrastructure would likely be better because the companies want to make sure their shit's getting places. Obviously, um, and then if that thing did happen, there would already be like fucking lawsuits right away, right? Whatever. I don't know if there's lawsuits now, but there would have been like everyone hurt with lawsuits. But the main reason, all that they would have all that insurance and shit, all that infrastructure taken care of. But the main reason it wouldn't happen is because there's no government to create it. There's no psyop there. You know what I mean? The false
Yeah,
flag
it's
operator. No, not false flag. It's a bad thing. You know what I mean? There's no government to make it happen.
so there's well, okay, like they recently, like everybody assumes regulation or safety requirements come from the government, and it's not the case. Like, specifically, a lot of safety regulations come from our insurance companies that we voluntarily pay for, and then manufacturers have to comply with insurance companies basically litigating against them. And so, there's a limiter in a lot of cars, or they have like different designs to packaging for children and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with the government saying you have to have, a certain etc. going on with something like that. Maybe the cars one was a bad example, but like,
Yeah.
I think about like computer electronics, like not catching on fire. There is no federal regulation of electronics in the United States, period. Everything you buy, the camera, your phone, the television, the TV monitor, the camera, my stove back there, anything electrical is privately regulated by the L, LCC or something. Like, what is it? I can I have to I have to look it up. You know what I'm talking about? UL.
Uh, UL. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so,
you keep talking about
like,
the stuff. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, okay. So, like, we have private regulations for all of this electronics, and surprisingly, stuff manufactured these days does not catch on fire left and right like it did back in the day. It's just because of insurance and litigation and stuff like that. Yeah, our infrastructure would be infinitely better in a market system, because when shit breaks, you would afford to pay for it. And right now, the train companies specifically lobbied to remove like safety requirements and stuff like that. That no, and because it's legal to that they got those requirements removed. Now they're not liable. Basically, is what I'm gonna assume is gonna end up happening, because the administration said, "Oh, you don't need to have." safety things, or you don't need to have this kind of break. You don't need to have safety checks at this interval. You don't need to transport these. Like it was labeled a non dangerous uh, chemical train. It was not a hazardous materials train. There's absolutely no way that like a private railroad insurance scheme would allow for these kind of materials to be transported just willy-nilly without extra scrutiny and everything like that, because somebody actually owns it, somebody's actually responsible, somebody's actually liable, whereas now it's all um just shielded and stuff like that. So I'm looking, and right now it's an article on Zero Hedge, which is one of my favorite go-to websites. East Palestine residents may be already undergoing DNA mutations, alleges a class action lawsuit. Norfolk Southern Railway CEO Alan Shaw published a letter Thursday that read, "We will not walk away, East Palestine." But already officials from Norfolk Southern ditched a meeting last night with worried residents of the town who were searching for answers after a freight train with 150 of cars, 20 of which were hazardous materials, derailed in the small town, resulting in a chemical disaster. Um, so the railroad refused to show up to the town hall last night. That's interesting. Norfolk Southern is not off to a great start. They have increased reports of residents experiencing short-term health impacts after the derailment and controlled. And I like how it was controlled when it was the size of like a Moab conventional weapon exploding. But anyways, burn of toxic chemicals, vinyl chloride. Residents as far away as Pittsburgh are wondering about potential health impacts, according to the media. DeWine said they relied on models determining possible fallout. The Department of Defense was consulted prior to the controlled release of chemicals, so they're not even calling it a explosion or controlled burn anymore. It's a release of chemicals from a derailed train. The DoD was consulted, which is an interesting thing to say. There is a weather map and model of the particulates burning off of this. And I don't know if I can put it on screen or something like that, but I'll just describe it for a second. So you got Ohio. It kind of looks like a U that's been filled in off the south of Lake Erie. East Palestine is just across the border from Pennsylvania on the eastern edge of Ohio. Like I said, just above the dingus of West Virginia that pushes up in between the two, kind of just nuzzles its way into the gooch of Ohio and Pennsylvania. And it's kind of emanating from a north there to the northeast out, and it is seeding the area around the St. Lawrence River. So you can see probably Ontario, Montreal, upstate New York. Actually, anyways, and then you've got Quebec, and then there's probably a wind change at some point because we got an easterly flow that's probably carrying it over Pittsburgh into the southern part of I guess that'd be Massachusetts right there. Okay, so these are some of the areas. Okay, another one is saying East Palestine trail derailment on Friday, February 3rd, which the fire spanned the length of the cars and continued for several days after the incident. So we're looking at particulate matter now, and another wind shift indicates that the particulates again are now flowing from the dingus of West Virginia southeast over the skinniest part of West Virginia into Virginia proper. Um, Long-term health implications with exposure to vinyl chloride, such as increased developing a rare form of liver cancer called hepatic angiosarcoma, liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, brain and lung cancers, lymphoma, and leukemia. The devices they're setting up devices in Ohio through East Palestine that seem to be monitoring air quality and checking for chemicals and stuff like that. Um, the CEO of Norfolk Southern, which, by the way, every railroad company is basically a government entity. The railroad companies would not exist unless Abraham Lincoln. This is one of the worst things that Lincoln did after the Civil War and conscripting millions of men and sending half of them, 500,000 men to die, just for almost no reason. Was he basically gave away half of the nation's land to the railroad companies as a freebie, because he was bought and
He
paid for
fucking
by the
gave
railroad
it.
companies. Yeah, the railroad companies
I
did
didn't know
not.
that.
I mean, maybe they paid like pennies on the dollar. But if you look at a map of Colorado or Wyoming or Montana, every other 16 acres is owned by the railroad. And that's because he gave
Oh,
a half of the state away so that they could build railroads through it. And the idea was like, oh, they could trade land with local people. But still to this day, Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific and Burlington Northern, all these rail lines basically are more mining companies than they are rail companies, because they own more mineral rights than any other corporation in America at
Jesus
all.
Christ.
And it was just a free fucking giveaway from Abraham Lincoln because he wanted to make them happy so they would support his presidential bid so he could kill 500,000 people for no reason.
So my knowledge on this
And I'm
is
not saying that slavery was no reason. I'm saying that it would have been cheaper and easier to just free the slaves or secede from the Union, stop trading from them with the Confederates and the slavery. We still had slavery for the entirety of the Civil War, up until President Lincoln's death, even.
yeah. I'm gonna get into it. I don't
Right.
care about that. No, but I remember watching a couple episodes of Hell on Wheels, and it was so it's like after this, like that show was on FX, and I think it was after it takes place right after this, not long after the Civil War, right? And there was one scene where like a planner, like the infrastructure planner guy, was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do it like a straight line right here, a railroad track," and another guy's like, "What about if we do this?" And he drew like the curviest fucking line going around, and the guy was like, "That doesn't make any sense. Like it would take forever to get somewhere." He's like, "Yeah, but we're getting paid by the government per mile of track." He's like, "So we are going to stretch this out and get the most money from the government," and it just makes sense. The Lord Towers in the chat says I think BNSF is another rail company. Which I don't know.
Burlington, Northern Suffolk.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. It's like
Um,
fucking Christ. So learn more stuff. I
but
just hate the government. Justified.
yeah, yeah. No, if you look at a map of the Western U.S. and it's like, oh, this is supposed to be like a national forest land. Like there's basically huge swaths of the West are just sitting in the hands of these railroads. They do nothing with it. It's just fenced off crap that we can't build houses there. We can't mine or drill or anything like that. And the people who get exclusive rights to mine or drill it are the railroad companies.
And don't they just
Um,
sit on it? Yeah, they just sit on it, right?
they don't totally just sit on it. They do develop it, especially the oil and gas leases as they go. But a lot of the mining stuff that ended up happening in the West are actually subsidiaries of these railroad companies because they own the mineral rights. They own basically every other 16 square acres of land in the West down to the center of the earth. So,
Fantastic.
yep,
Yep.
they have, and people got kicked off their homesteads. Not to mention, Native Americans got kicked off. It's impossible to negotiate with them because they just know that they hold it. And there's it like you could potentially re-homestead the West with just as much free open land as there was in 1880 today, because it's all owned by railroad companies. All right.
Jesus.
Um, Wait.
No, I was looking at the
that
reflection of my glasses. Sorry if you're looking at me.
Oh, okay. Um, uh, Norfolk Southern has donated $1 million community support fund as a down payment on our help commitment to help rebuild. I think in real life, you're going to talk about rebuilding this entire town or relocating it is what might end up happening. We got like maybe a Chernobyl situation.
God damn. Well, that's what people
Um,
were making comparisons to Chernobyl when this first happened.
well, it's funny to me that we're in our decadent, dying empire. We just lost our war in Afghanistan, and our aging leader is unable to deal with a highly cancerous natural disaster or not man-made disaster. Um, and what's his face? Gorbachev said that it was really Chernobyl that brought down the Soviet Union because just like they fucked up the response so badly and it looked so bad and they covered it up the entire time and everybody just basically lost faith in the Soviet system because they're just like, wait, like, okay, maybe I work long, hard hours and there's never food on the shelves, but at least the government, we got elevated from the czarist era where we're all starving peasants or something like that. That was the story they could tell themselves in their head. But when the story gets interrupted with our government like was deliberately blew up a nuclear power plant trying to run some stupid test with a bunch of incompetent people that poisoned a huge swath of land and one of the largest river in Eastern Europe. And it's like, yeah, so what sign of industrial progress were we supposed to
It's
have?
like I
Like,
was
and
fine with
and
no food on the shelves, but I draw the line at my government officially lying to me on the record.
well, yeah, like you can always make excuses for like the lack of food on the shelves and stuff like that. There's propaganda reasons, but when it's like we like thousands of children have cancer, and well, that's when people lose their shit.
Oh yeah,
They just totally abandon the system. Speaking of which, the New York Times has posted an article that suggests Americans should combat economic strife by switching to 2 meals a day.
I've already I already do that. I don't eat breakfast.
I am a breakfast eater. I love breakfast. Um,
It's hit or miss for me sometimes. Like on the way to work, like I'll feel something. Like I'll get some like some goy slop on the
mhm.
way in. But for the most part, like I usually just wake up and go. Like my breakfast is coffee. Well, it was coffee, I should say.
Yeah, coffee's a decent little breakfast. I was like, I am an avid egg eater. I basically eat eggs a day, continue all year, every day. I might occasionally mix it up with some like oatmeal. But yeah, New York Times by Gabriel Rubin says to save money, maybe you should skip breakfast. Well, so here's the deal: if a bunch of Americans are just eating overpriced goy slop cereal, sugar cereal, then you're not really getting a lot of nutrition. You're probably just getting fat
Yeah,
eating cereal. So and it's overpriced for what it is. So just stop. But you know, switch to oatmeal. But like eggs and bacon and like good quality seed oil free toast. Um, like oh my goodness, how the American breakfast are one of the staples of our culture, and a very important TV character almost has his entire personality based around breakfast. Okay, and people love that.
who's that
Eh,
character?
Ron Swanson.
Yeah, oh yeah, okay, okay, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So yeah, we're looking at yeah, the food shortages are real, the prices are real, the environmental disaster, the defeat in Afghanistan. Is there any other checklist that we need for full like we're gonna collapse the same way the Soviet Union did? Like what's the next thing?
Um,
Is there a wall somewhere that
the,
can get torn down?
wasn't well, didn't the U.S. have some sort of play like what was the golden blockade? I don't want to mess anything up. The gold
The
blockade or whatever.
Golden Blockade.
Blockade.
I've
Gold
never heard of.
blockade in the USSR in the what the fuck is this? Well,
Is
basically,
this is this how we never repatriated the Russian Empire's gold back to the
it was
Soviet
is
Union?
basically like they wouldn't accept money. Like there's a blockade, like you couldn't accept money. You could use like wouldn't accept the USSR's money or whatever. Like I could be wrong because I'm just going off of like a very brief memory of something like some communist said to me one time or twice or three times. I don't know. But basically, they couldn't because this is why they starved. Right? Is that the U.S. imposed a gold blockade, so they couldn't use money, so they had to sell their grain to get money that they could use, that the government can use, right? So the government was selling the grain instead of feeding their people in order to get money to like because of the industrial revolution or something like that, like so they can keep up with technology and stuff like that, or they end up collapsing. Was the general idea, I think. That's what the communists tell me anyway. I don't know.
Oh,
But
they needed to purchase foreign capital equipment
yeah,
in order to industrialize the
they
factories.
didn't have.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah, so
Kind
like
of
I'm
makes
like
sense.
there's some. I think there was some U.S. involvement in that. So the only difference of what's going on now versus then is that the is actually I can see the U.S. fucking themselves up like that. I could see them doing it. They're very incompetent. It could happen. Well, it's like if you look at a lot of countries that got like stabilized and shit, our government had a fucking hand in it most of the time. I think. Like, I think
Well,
was
before we opposed the communists, we kind of backed them. Um, and yeah, it, and then they. So wait, they blamed like the Holodomor on the fact that the Soviet Union was forced to trade foodstuffs for capital goods.
yeah. You know what's it's funny the argument. I'm trying to remember the argument some communists gave me one time. It was basically like like it was because like why they couldn't feed their people was because they had to sell their grain to the gold blockade, and then I was like, okay, then they should have kept that. They shouldn't have been like investing like worrying about capital. They should have worried about their people and fed their people and shit. And then it was like, and then they're like, oh no, they had it was the excess grain they sold. And I'm like, okay, then why did people starve? It's convoluted. We'll have to look into it more in another episode, but like we gotta wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up here tonight because I promised my wife that I would rub her toes from
Okay.
her suggestion, not mine. Or I'm lying.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, Matt. So, yeah, guys. Max, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up here?
um,
Any
I'm
points?
gonna post on Tumblr right now, in just a second, the swath of land given to the railroads by the federal government. It's a map, okay? And I was kind of wrong about Wyoming. Wyoming is most of the nice land is railroad, but anyways, Montana is like owned by the railroads. Anyways, yep.
So
Closing
really,
thoughts.
really
Fuck
quick.
the railroads.
Yeah, fuck the rails. Last closing thoughts is what country, what countries has the U.S. been involved in their like collapse or whatever? And then fucking Lord Towers was like the Animaniacs video comes to mind. His country, country. So, all right. Well, everyone, thank you for coming out. We'll catch you next week, hopefully. Hopefully Ben's better. Feeling good, and maybe Yimmer will be here too. So y'all have a good night, and we will see you. Oh, what was that thing? Taxation is theft.
Taxation's theft.
And wow, L on the fucking outro, dumbass.